Hi everyone, welcome back to Creatively Expressive. My name's Amy, and today I'm going to show you how I made a Nightmare Before Christmas Jack Skellington bust using just cardboard, a styrofoam ball, and a couple of wooden plaques. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave me a quick comment down below. It really helps me out. Now let's jump right in. First, I sketched a rough idea of what I wanted to make. For Jack's head, I'm using a 3.8-inch styrofoam ball. I found a Jack Skellington face I liked, sized it to fit the ball, and printed it out. My first plan was to cut the facial features and trace them onto the ball. But once I wrapped the flat paper around the curve, it didn't look right. So I moved on to building the bust instead. I made a template in several sizes: 6 inches, 5.5, 5, 4.5, 4, 3.5, 3, and 2.5. If you'd like to use my template, I'll pin it in the comments for free. Here's what you'll need to cut out from cardboard: 3 pieces at 6 inches, 2 pieces each at 5.5, 5, 4.5, and 4 inches, and 1 piece each at 3.5, 3, and 2.5 inches. I'll cut them out with an X-Acto knife. These will stack up to form Jack's torso. Starting with the smallest piece at the bottom, I gradually layered up the larger ones, then decreased back down towards the top, stopping with the 4-inch piece. To hold everything together, I used a 1/2-inch wood dowel in the center. This dowel also works as Jack's neck. I marked the center of each bust piece, poked a starter hole with a smaller dowel, and then pushed the larger dowel through. Next, I cut out small square spacers from cardboard. These go between the bust layers to give the structure height and shape. For the bottom section, I used 4 spacers between each piece. The middle section, the 3 6-inch pieces, got 5 spacers between each piece. Next, I'll glue 4 stacked spacer pieces of the cardboard on top of the bottom portion of the bust. Then I'm going to stack 3 spacer pieces on top of the 3 6-inch bust pieces and glue a 5.5-inch bust piece on top. And for the top, I used just 2 spacers between the layers. Once everything was stacked, I glued the top and the bottom sections together. And I just want to give a quick shout out to the Secret Craft Room. She inspired this stacking method when she built her Nightmare Before Christmas duck toy. I'll link her video in the description box if you want to check it out. Now let's build the base. I marked the centers of the 2 wood plaques, and my husband nailed them together. Then he drilled a 1/2-inch hole through the round plaque and partway into the rectangular plaque so that the dowel would sit securely inside. For the neck, I trimmed the dowel with miter shears so that it stuck up about 3 inches above the bust and the base. That way part of it could also fit into the styrofoam head. With the structure done, I wrapped the cardboard in masking tape to fill in some of the gaps. Then I covered the whole thing in foil. Over that, I added a layer of paper mache using newspaper dipped in a Mod Podge and water mix and let it dry. While that dried, I made some paper mache clay. I blended shredded newspaper with water, strained out the excess water, and then mixed the pulp with glue until it formed a clay. I stored it in a plastic bag so that it wouldn't dry out. Once the paper mache layer was dry, I spread a thin layer of paper clay over the bust. To make the bottom flat, I pressed the bust into the base before flipping it upside down so it could dry without sticking. For the head, I used Sculpey Air Dry Clay over the styrofoam ball. I rolled the clay flat, wrapped it around the ball, and smoothed it out with water and patched up any gaps with more clay. When air bubbles popped up, I pricked them with a pin and smoothed the surface again. Then I set the head aside to dry. For the lapel on Jack's suit, I first tried making and using a paper template, but ended up sculpting it directly on the bust with paper clay, shaping it with my fingers and clay tools. Once it dried, I coated the entire bust in a lightweight spackle for a smooth finish and then sanded it down. I'm going to fill the holes made by the nail gun in the wooden base, and then I'll sand it smooth once it's dry. After sanding, I glued the bust to the wooden base using hot glue and Titebond Quick and Thick. Then I hot glued the head to the top of the dowel neck. I filled in any gaps around the base with spackle, piping it in with an icing bag for a clean finish. Now for Jack's face. I printed out another copy of his face, cut out the eyes and nostrils, and traced them onto the head. At first I tried sculpting them in clay, but I didn't like the result, so I pulled up the clay. Instead, I carved the eyes and the mouth into the hardened clay using a Dremel tool, also digging into the styrofoam underneath for depth. I line the eye sockets and mouth with more clay, using glue to adhere the clay to the styrofoam. And then I smooth out the clay with my fingers, clay tools, and a bit of water. Then I decided the head still looked too small, so I added another layer of clay over the front half of the head, adhering the new layer of clay to the old with some water. Then I needed to recut the eyes and the mouth out of the new layer of clay. After smoothing and blending the new clay with the old, I sculpted Jack's stitched mouth and upturned nose. After sculpting the facial features, I covered the back half of the head with a layer of clay and then blended it together with the front half of its face. After blending the two halves of the head together, I sculpted out two nostrils in the nose. Next, I wanted to give Jack some raised eyebrows to give him a look of wonder, like when the first time he sees snow. I also covered the down neck in clay, adhering it with glue, and blended it seamlessly with the head and bust. For a little extra touch, I made a clay snowflake with a fondant cutter and set it on the base to dry. Next up, Jack's bow tie. I cut out a 12 by 4 inch batwing shape from chipboard, made 2 copies, and sandwiched floral wire between them with hot glue. That way the bow tie can bend for shape. I also cut a small cardboard cat head for the center. I covered the bow tie and the cat in foil and paper mache. And then I added clay to the cat's face and shaped the cat's face with clay tools. After they dried, I added spackle and sanded everything smooth. To attach the bow tie, my husband drilled holes for a dowel. He drilled a hole all the way through the bow tie and partially through the cat's face and bust. Then I cut down the dowel and glued the cat head to the end of the dowel. And then I glued the cat head and the dowel to the bow tie. Now for painting. I mixed white paint with gloss varnish for Jack's head and shirt, and black paint with varnish for his suit, bow tie, and base. I painted his eyes, nostrils, and mouth in black, Then I added messy white stripes to his bow tie and suit coat to match the movie. I painted the snowflake white, then added glitter mixed with Mod Podge for sparkle. When it accidentally broke, I glued it back together with super glue. To make the base pop, I brushed on some gold rub and buff for shine, while still letting that black show through. Finally, I glued the bow tie onto the bust. And added the snowflake to the base. And that's it! Jack Skellington is finished. I hope you enjoyed this project and that it gave you some inspiration. If you did, a few free and easy ways to support my channel are to subscribe if you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up, leave me a quick comment or even just an emoji, and share it with anyone you think might enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support more than you know. Have a great day and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!